it's Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, we are discussing Season 1, Episode 7 of Interview with the Vampire. This is our penultimate episode of the first season. And this episode was basically just called Take This Shit to Trial, bitch. Take this shit to trial. So Claudia, Louis, and Madeline have been kidnapped thanks to Armand, who set them up. The whole conclave of vampires has abducted these people and taken them back to the vampire theater to put them on trial before a jury of their peers. Okay, you just wear white folks to take this shit to trial. And the audience who doesn't know that this is a play. And I'm not a horror girly, but one of the things in horror, there are two things in horror that I cannot watch. One is a person get their head crushed. So I never watched Game of Thrones. I always looked away, even during my rewatches, when the mountain crushed Oberyn Martell's head. I could not watch that. I also struggle to see people's Achilles tendons get cut. So they are disabled, they are disoriented, they are battered, bruised, and beaten. Their heads are bowed, okay, on this stage. And then Lestat saunters his bad bitch ass up on just the shadow of him taking off that blazer and walking up to the stage. It was giving like Professor Snape a little bit. Like, Lestat is such a bad yellow bad bitch. I can't even with him. So the whole time that they are being presented with their charges, of course, Santiago, who is just eating this up, Santiago is kind of narrating or acting as the judge or the head bitch in charge. He is in charge of the girls, right? And Lestat is giving his account of his attempted murder and the murder of his mistress. And on the one hand, right, they have like this animation behind them to kind of like heighten the impact of what Lestat's experience was. Lestat is a narcissist because he's a vampire. If you live that long as a white man and you had all of the things, I'm inclined to believe you might become a little bit of a narcissist too, but who can say? Who can say? But we kind of get, this is his opportunity to be the ultimate victim. Narcissists live in a perpetual state of victimhood. Everything is woe is me. Why is everybody so mean to me? And this is his opportunity to really perform that on stage. And he goes up there and he charms the audience, because that is also one of the tenets of vampirism. They can be incredibly charming to lure people in, right? But for the slightest split second or a few split seconds, you get the feeling that, oh, maybe Louis isn't a reliable narrator. Maybe Lestat genuinely did feel wounded by Louis's desire for this child, and maybe Louis actually did manipulate Lestat into this family that Lestat really didn't want. Lestat didn't have the regard for human life that Louis did, because he's an ancient vampire. Louis was new here. Louis had just got here. And Louis was longing for the family that he lost, not only because he became a vampire, but because his brother killed himself and he was blamed for it. So he felt alienated by his family and was longing for family. And I think it's also, he had lived life as a Black person in community. We value that. Lestat, by virtue of being a vampire and by being a white man and by being a rich man, a rich white man, that sense of community wasn't there for him. Even looking at the fact that like he left this vampire clan, he's kind of a solitary creature, so he couldn't understand on any level Louis's desire for family, community, whatever. He was like, let this child die. And he did tell Louis she will not have a good quality of life. She's too young to be turned. And Louis has a moment where he, you know, it's however many years later, and he's telling Daniel Malloy, like, I think Lestat's version of how Claudia was made is the true version. Go with his version. You know, and he has this clarity being like further removed from this experience, right? So Lestat is like, you know, he manipulated me and I made this child into a predator. I made her into the very thing that inspired her to come back after 7 years and kill me. So Claudia, because her hunger was so intense and because she was so young and because she had like the hormones of a teen or a preteen or whatever, her life as a vampire was like a perpetual state of teenage angst, basically. And so her kills were blowing up the spot for Louis and Lestat. And, you know, you do get the sense, especially when Lestat talks about what loneliness is for a vampire versus what loneliness is for a human being. You do kind of empathize. You do kind of feel like he just wanted Louis and was willing to do anything to have Louis. But this is why Toni Morrison said love is not a gift for the receiver, okay? Because a person who you love how you live, if you live violently with no regard for life, you love in that way too. So Lestat's version of what it means to love someone is very warped. And you also see that he goes off script a lot, and Santiago does not like this. Santiago keeps trying to get him to, he keeps trying to steer the ship to say, oh, well, you only did these bad things. Because Lestat does even try to take accountability of like, well, I'm the one who turned her. So I violated one of the ancient rules as well. So when you condemn them, condemn me too. And Santiago makes all these excuses for Lestat and gets frustrated and rattled by the fact that Lestat is empathizing with Louis and Claudia, and that he's in the smallest way taking some ownership for dropping Louis from the distance that he did. And this sets Claudia off quite a bit, because it's like Claudia is ultimately listening to how she was made, and it gives her the sense that she wasn't really wanted. And so she's, struggled her whole life trying to find a place where she belongs, trying to find a place that's safe for her. And she never found it. And whether we believe it or not, it does look like Lestat has regrets about how he treated her and about this whole experience, about the fact that he's setting them up for death. So I also really love the part where Lestat goes and confronts the soldier about his homophobia. And I feel like I wish we could have more of that in real life, right? Like, if we could just go and read homophobes and misogynists and transphobes and all of the and racists and bigots of all kind, if we could just go and read them for filth and spray them with their own tea, I think that, I don't know that it would change anything, but it would be really satisfying. But anyway, I digress. So once it's time for sentencing, right? Claudia and Madeline are sentenced to death. Louis is sentenced to banishment, and we get the feeling that Armand is using his powers to influence everyone in the audience to say banishment for Louis. And of course, that's not what actually happens. They bury him in their crypt in rocks so that he can't move, so that he will just be there and starve to death. And my thing is, I don't know how Louis could have gotten over what Armand did, despite the fact that Armand, as of this episode, Armand, quote unquote, saved his life. I don't know how you can get past this. Like, you incited torture and the murder of my daughter child slash sister. How do you get past that? I don't care like how much time passes. Like, you incited this, you set me up. There is no getting past that, even though in the 11th hour you tried to come in and use your powers to save us. It's just not enough. It's just not enough. So that's where the episode ends. And I do enjoy the fact that Daniel Malloy keeps pushing Armand to take more ownership. And in the final episode, we see why. But Daniel Malloy is really holding Armand's feet to the fire of, oh, so you had a front row seat to see what the fuck you did to these people. So that's the penultimate episode. To be honest, this one went on a bit longer than I needed or wanted it to. But again, I think that this was our opportunity to see that Louis is not a reliable narrator. And he even came to realize that within the episode. So it's almost kind of like a kind of meta moment of, oh shit, I done had this fucked up a little bit. Maybe I am a little bit of a narcissist because I made myself the sole victim in all of this. This man did love me in as much as he could love anything or anyone, and I plotted to kill him. Despite the fact that he was abusive and manipulative, I plotted to kill this man, and he was loving me as best as he could. So I think that this episode kind of complicates our feelings about Louis and Lestat, because we've just been going up for Louis the whole time. But there have been little nuggets throughout this entire season. Y'all, I said this was season 1. This is season 2. My bad. I'm tripping. Throughout this entire season, we've been seeing little nuggets that Louis is not the sole victim here. Louis can also be manipulative, right? So stay tuned. We will talk about the season finale in the next video. And thank you guys for bearing with me. I'm finally finding my footing in my new job, so I have a bit of a schedule to have the capacity to create as well. So hopefully I will see you guys sooner. Let me know if you guys want to talk about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I am finally getting pleasantly surprised by the plot line. Nothing will ever be Game of Thrones, but I'm not disappointed with what we've gotten from this series as of, I think, episode 3 or 4. So let me know in the comments if that's something you guys want to hear about. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and join the Patreon. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.